Welcome into Training Camp Live, presented by Xfinity. It's day 20. The Texans are back out at practice. Yesterday, they were inside NRG Stadium, Drew. They get ready for their final preseason game this Saturday night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 7 p.m. kickoff, ABC 13 and Sports Radio 610. Andrew Doherty on the sideline hosting that final preseason game off the sidelines. Drew, welcome in.
Hey, good to see you. Good to be with you. And we will take all your questions. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us from where you're sending those questions and then fire away. Cuts are coming. We've seen the reports of some guys that are not going to be around. Team going from 85 to 80 players, have to be by 80 or at 80 today. And then next week is the big one, going from 80 to 53. And Texans will be finished with the preseason this time in a week and getting ready and set for the Jacksonville Jaguars in week 1.
Yeah, it's coming fast, Drew. Those cuts next week are going to be huge. We've started to see some of those transactions earlier in the week. The team released Kahale Waring, Darius Jackson. We've seen reports of John Reed being let go as well and signing a cornerback from Green Bay. David Culley was asked about Kadar Holman. So I'm sure that, when that's finalized, we'll see that as well. But the Texans trying to firm up all these roster spots. In the meantime, Laremy Tunsil still on the reserve COVID list, so you know that the guys that are on the reserve list don't really count towards that 80-man roster right now. So when Laremy gets back on the active roster, that'll probably be another transaction that takes place. But for now, Laramy's on that reserve COVID list. He won't be at practice today. A guy that will be at practice, wide receiver Nico Collins. A little bit of a disappointment, Drew. He wasn't out there for Saturday's game, had a little bit of a muscle pull, but good news is that he'll be back at practice and should be playing in Saturday's game.
Yeah, he's practicing right now, and like you mentioned, Lil Laremy Tunsil, he's not out there. Another couple names to keep in mind on the PUP list, Marcus Cannon, Lane Taylor, a couple of offensive linemen who've got starting experience and quite a bit of it in the NFL. They've not practiced at all this preseason. They've been working on side fields when they've worked outside. So you think their time is probably coming sometime in the next week, week and a half, maybe even sooner, we don't know. But they are guys who, when they were added to the team, you figured would have some sort of say and have some sort of mix in the competition there at offensive line. But we haven't seen anything from them yet, but we might soon.
They look so ready. They're always on the side field pushing the sled and going through their workouts. Yeah. I'm like, they look like they could play to me, but what do I know? The team released Roderick Johnson, so to me, I felt like that might have been good news for the tackles that you just mentioned, that maybe they might be close to returning. Also, Anthony Miller, the wide receiver that the Texans traded from the Bears, had a great first preseason game, but then was injured, had the shoulder injury. We haven't really seen any transactions with him, so I would expect that at some point there'd be a decision whether he goes on PUP or he's on the reserve, because we haven't seen him out at practice either. He's been out there on the practice field, but not participating.
Yeah, no update really from David Culley on him.
Yeah,
David Culley said no update, so we will have to kind of wait and see on Anthony Miller. And Javari in Miami is wanting to know, do you think the starters on offense need to get more reps? Well, David Culley does. David Culley thinks guys on both sides of the ball who will likely be with the first team need to get more reps. And he said so to the point that his offense, at least, and maybe even the defense as well, should play all of the first half and then into the third quarter, because he wants to see how they make adjustments during the half. Now, might be a change. You might see Davis Mills instead of Tyrod Taylor, though. So we'll see. But if you listen to what Culley's saying, they're going to get quite a bit more work than they've gotten the first 2 games. And you might even see a little bit against guys like Tom Brady and some of the Super Bowl champs, some of their starters in Tampa Bay. That team is going to be here Saturday night.
Yeah, Bruce Arians was asked about his team a few weeks ago. He said that Tom Brady and the starters would play in this third preseason game, so something to keep an eye on. And, I thought that the second preseason game, will that be treated like a typical third preseason game, or will that be different? It seems like last week's game and this week's game in particular, will be more of your typical third week dress rehearsal for the regular season, because you're right, we will see more of the starters for a longer period of time. And we saw a little bit more of them last week against Dallas and more so of them against Tampa Bay. So keep those questions coming in as we try to get to as many of them as we can. But Davis Mills had a good showing on Saturday night. Said that he felt like he'd made some improvements. He'd learned a little bit from his first preseason game to the next. No interceptions. So obviously a lot of things that the team wants to work on this week. And one of them is to continue the takeaways, not turn the ball over, but get better on third down.
Totally, yeah. I mean, getting better on third down. The Cowboys were able to convert over 50%. They were better than 50% the other night. And the Texans on offense, 0 for 10. Oof. boy, you are rarely going to win in this league when you do that. But the Texans were able to overcome it because they got the turnovers. They got 4 of them. So that's something that is really, really impressive. Brody in England is checking us out. We also have some fans in Germany. This is the German Texans, so Germany is a country, not German E. But Brody wants to know, what have you seen from Whitney Merciless? And Whitney got a lot of action the other night. He started with that group, part of a defensive front that was able to, cause some problems for the opposing quarterbacks that the Dallas Cowboys were trotting out there. And we heard from some of his teammates later, including Charles Omenihu and others who said it's like a competition getting to the quarterback. Jacob Martin was saying that. It's like a competition getting to the quarterback. We're all, going after him. We've got to win our one-on-ones when we are matched up one-on-one with guys. And Texans defensive line so far has been one of the bright spots in the preseason.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are so many guys that have been in the rotation, Malik Collins being one of them. We heard from him a little while ago, or yesterday actually, said he likes to get vertical on the field. He has a lot of 4-3 experience. Whitney Merciless was out there. He didn't play in the first preseason game, and it's funny because his name came up on the pregame show with Wade Smith. He was, the players were warming up. This is week 1 at Green Bay, and Wade said, he doesn't look lathered up to me. I don't think Whitney plays in week 1. I didn't really know what that meant, but then this last Saturday, he said, Whitney looks lathered up. He's going to play. So he did get some reps. It'll be interesting to see once the regular season starts how this D-line comes together, who's going to get – I mean, I don't know if we have starters that start the game and then finish the game. It'll just be like, I think, a heavy rotation with Lovie Smith. But that D-line is definitely – even the back end, even the secondary was crediting the defensive line for the success that the secondary had in Saturday's game. And we saw it certainly translate with the 4 takeaways.
Jess has this one. What do you think the keys were to the win in Dallas? We just touched on them. They got 4 takeaways, so that was huge. I mean, you were able to get 4 takeaways. You were able to capitalize when you got a takeaway in their own end of the field. 7 plays later, Mark Ingram was able to run it in. The offense looked good on that drive. It was a 7-play drive that only went 23 yards. You don't see that too often.
Right.
But he was able to move the chains and do some good things. But takeaways. Definitely the key to that win last week. Javari in Miami wants to know, how is Shaq Lawson done in camp? It's been interesting. I think he would want to say he's done better, and I think the Texans are expecting more. But he's played a lot in the second half of these preseason games, which is usually not a sign that it's a guy that's going to be a frontline starter, a frontline contributor. So, probably need the arrow to trend up a little bit there for Shaq Lawson.
Yeah, I just think it's a really competitive group. I mean, you look at Charles Omenihu. I mean, what a standout performance he had. There's a lot of guys that are familiar with the coaches that have been here a little bit. Maybe for a guy like Shaq Lawson, it's going to take a little bit more time. But it is such a competitive group. You've got Vincent Taylor. We mentioned Malik Collins. You've got Ross Blacklock, Jonathan Grenard, who has not been playing right now. But we just there we see some of the players out there. They're in shorts today. So there's Mark Ingram. We saw him get his first touchdown. Granted, it was preseason, but on that opening drive, to see him get some carries and get into the end zone, I'm sure that felt good for him to get the pads on him, get some work. He did not play in the first preseason game.
Yeah, he really appreciated getting the chance to play, tuned up some things. This is his 11th, 12th year in the league, so for him to get out there and play the way he did, it was good for the Texans. It was good for him, he said. And like I mentioned earlier, that first drive, he had a 5 or 6 yarder. He had a couple of third and shorts, a couple of fourth and shorts where he A, got the first down, and B, got a touchdown. So he was able to, get positive yardage and do some nice things there in the run game and look fresh as lettuce when he was out there. That kind of leads into Dee's question. Do you think the preseason games are important? Yeah. I mean, you listen to these players, whether they're guys that you think are going to start and they think they're going to start on down the line, they're very important, A lot of them have said, hey, they're keeping score in these games, so we want to put our best foot forward. We want to win, whether it's a preseason game, whether it's a regular season game. But, yeah, they are important because for the coaches and the personnel guys, they're evaluating the roster. They want to see who should be on this team. And, it's a team that has 80 guys on it, and you're almost halving it, cutting it in half in a week's span. So, yes, the preseason games go a long way towards determining that.
Yeah, and I think it's especially important for the offensive line. We've seen guys move all around the line this training camp, and I think the preseason game sort of solidified where guys are going to be playing, like this guy, Tytus Howard. He's now at left guard. He started the camp at right tackle. He's played at left guard before. I had a chance to catch up with him after yesterday's practice. Take a look. It's a Deep Slant 101 presented by Xfinity. My guest today, Tytus Howard, offensive lineman. And you know what, Tytus? I feel like versatility is the name of the game for you this training camp, because you came into camp, we thought you were the starting right tackle, but you've sort of played everywhere, and you've been getting a lot of reps at left guard. So talk to me a little bit about the versatility that you have. You're not unfamiliar to the position of left guard because you've played there before.
Yeah, when I got to camp, they told me, hey, Tytus, we're going to rotate you in a couple different positions, see how you get comfortable at each position. And I did it. Practice, right tackle, left guard. Like I said, I played left guard my rookie year for my first game, so it wasn't something that was new to me. So I think I kind of found my home at left guard for right now, and that's where I'm working at. And I plan on getting, being the best I can be at left guard.
So what's the toughest part of making that transition? Because you're moving inside and then you're moving to the other side of the line. So what are the challenges when you're playing a position that's different on the O-line?
I think the difference between with tackle and guards, when you're at guard, everything happens so much faster. So when I first moved back from tackle, after being a tackle for 2 years, for me it was just like when you're doing double teams and you linebacker blitz and stuff, everything just happened a little bit faster. So I had to get back up to speed with that. And once that happened, me playing left and right, I've been used to this since I was in college, so that wasn't hard for me, but it was just getting up to speed with how fast things happen inside.
You got to play next to Laramie back in 2019 when you're a rookie, so you'll get to play with him again. It hasn't happened yet so far in the preseason, but what's it like playing next to Laramie? I know he's really helped you in your development, right, through the last few years.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty good. Me and Laramie, we're real cool off the field, so it makes it easy when we're on the field, to play together and stuff like that. And, I think it's going to be a pretty big year for us on that side. As far as the whole offensive line, I think it's going to be a pretty good year. But me and Larry playing beside each other, I think that's going to be pretty good.
All right, and Justin Britt, he also, very similar to you, played all over the O-line as a rookie and early on in his career. How much has he really talked you through this process and given you advice on it?
Yeah, ever since I got started to move, he always would ask me, hey, Tytus, you need some help, you need some ideas, you need some stuff I can talk to you about moving in position. I've done it. I started at right tackle. I played right tackle in the Super Bowl, and this and that, and I was like, appreciate you. So he would talk to me, help me out with some stuff so I can process stuff a little bit faster. And he's been very helpful. He's been helping leading the offensive line.
How do you feel about the offensive line right now, the chemistry, playing for James Camp? And I know he's so well respected across the league, but what's that chemistry been like throughout training camp and through these first few preseason games?
Yeah, I think we've built the chemistry pretty good. We haven't really had too many reps with all starting five out there, but with Laramie back this week, we should get some reps to get some good reps at practice. And when the first game come out, I think we're gonna be pretty good. I think we're gonna be solid up front this year.
All right, how about for yourself? Goals for yourself that maybe you want to share, things that you want to work on heading into year 3?
My goal is to get better each game, and I think when I set that goal for myself, everything else would just pan out for me. But just to get better each game, be the best I can be, work hard, be a great teammate. That's all I care about.
All right, you're a dad now too, so first of all, congratulations.
Thank
and
you.
How has being a dad really changed you?
It has, man. It makes me happy, to get up every day and go to work and, do what I do for my family. I got a little daughter who's dependent on me. She look at me, she might not know it yet, but she gonna be burning my pockets up. So I gotta, I gotta keep this, thing going on with football and, take advantage of the opportunity I get each and every day. Cause not everyone gets the opportunity to come out here and play a game that they played their whole life as kids and love to play, but you also get paid a lot for. So to be able to provide for my family like I do, it's a blessing.
All right, we're so happy for you, Tytus. Congratulations and best of luck this year.
Thank you.
Tytus Howard, year 3, back at left guard. That's where he started. Week 2 against Jacksonville, his rookie year in 2019. So a little bit of a riding a bicycle sort of a feel for Tytus as he moves back to the other side of the line. But he's excited to work next to Laramie Tunsil. And I think Justin Britt being center there, the fact that Justin Britt played all those positions for Seattle, as a rookie, he was in the Super Bowl. There's a lot of knowledge in that offensive line room, along with James Campen. So looking for a great year for Tytus Howard. I think he feels really encouraged by this year as well.
Yeah, it was a good conversation you had with him, and we also heard from Howard after yesterday's practice, and he was very matter-of-fact about it, said, hey, I'm willing to play anywhere. This is something that's not new to me. I've done it before, so we'll see what happens with him. And he's somebody that has played well at right tackle in the past, and it looks like he's done a nice job at guard so far. So we'll get a better barometer, I think, on Saturday night when he plays with the rest of the starters, see where he exactly lines up, and he's going against pretty salty defense in Tampa Bay. If they're playing most of their starters, you got to think that'll be a nice test for this offensive line, for this Texans team, really.
Well, and especially once Laramie Tunsil gets in the lineup, because
Yeah.
even if we've got the starters, if Laramie's not there, it's just not going to be a full picture. Like it wasn't at Dallas either. So I think with Laramie Tunsil and you've got your starting five the way you want it, that'll be a true test. So hopefully we get to see a little bit of that Saturday against Tampa Bay.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? That would be really, really nice.
Yeah, I think we have time for one more question.
Okay.
Let's see. German Texan wants to know, when will the roster be final? And German Texan, the roster should be final a week from today as the Texans, and the rest of the league trims down to 53 players. It could happen sooner, it could happen later, but you know what? Can never count anything out because there could still be transactions after that.
That's right. And we didn't get all your questions in, but that's okay. We're going to get some more in tomorrow, hopefully. And if you send in questions, I'll try to answer them in my Dear Drew article, which is going up later today on HoustonTexans.com. So keep them coming right now, and we'll compile them, and I'll try to answer them as much as
And you
we
can catch Drew Saturday night, ABC 13, on the sideline. You can also catch the pregame show, and I think Drew's going to try to run up and join us on the pregame show, Texans Unlimited. That'll be on maybe, an
6
hour
o'clock,
before kick, 6 o'clock or so. So we don't really get a pregame show anywhere else, but you know what? You can get to HoustonTexans.com. Follow us on social media. It's a great pregame show. We show you the players warming up. We answer all your famed questions much like this, so be sure to check it out. That's going to do it for Texans Training Camp Live presented by Xfinity. Shout out to everyone that worked on this show: Tyler Marcotte, Caroline Jordan, Anov Leibowitz, Amanda Caffey, Alex Lozano, Mitch Moreland, Drew Doherty, and myself on behalf of all of us. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, go Texans.